eventually going to return to our God self. I don't care how long it takes. It is inevitable that you will eventually return to your God self. So you might as well get involved with trying to do this as quick as possible, because the sooner the better. Now what you're looking at now, if you've been watching this all this time, is the light that knew what type of information was necessary to capture you as an audience. Now that that hasn't happened, you will find yourself in quest of more of this ancient Kemetic teaching. When you hear all that other stuff they're going to be giving you about Sumeria and all that shit, well, they ain't going to give you nothing but a bunch of he say bullshit. If they're not going to tell you anything about Sumeria leading to Egypt, then possibly Sumeria never existed. We got a whole bunch of stuff up and down the Nile Valley that we can prove was prior to ancient Kemet. We can show you how ancient Kemet came from Tanzania, the Mountain of the Moons, Mount Kilimanjaro, we all know is where the civilization of the Nile Valley all started from, and they built temples all up and down the whole Nile Valley civilization. Is not just northeast Africa like people will want you to believe. That's not true. It's all up and down the Nile Valley. And so when you have structures that great, and somebody want to come up with Sumeria and they can't show you no connection between Nile Valley civilization, and then they can't show you no grand statues and everything about Sumeria, but then they got enough stuff left over where they could give you a bunch of rhetoric that this civilization was greater than Egypt and this and that and woo woo woo, but they can't give you nothing to prove that except for speculation. And then along with speculation, of course, they got to write Sumeria as being a white civilization. And see, I'm not saying this because I want to be racist or anything. I'm saying it because I'm tired of always having to combat this problem. Listen, it's real simple. The oldest people on this earth is melanated man and woman. All you people out there that want to try to give all this predated stuff to these Europeans, go ahead and fill your head up with garbage if you want to. And that's all it is. You know, with all this crap that's going on in the world, with all this warring and everything, if you are so ancient and so great, then prove it by acting the mature ancient people you should be. And that means that you should have put war and childish behaviors aside a long time ago. Little kids have to grow up. So if you're so old and so out dating everybody on the planet, then just prove it. Just prove it. Alright, I'm going to go get some more of this stuff. I'll be back. Greetings. Alright. Now you guys know who this is, right? That's the goddess Segmet, right? We all know that? Okay, I'm going to read something to you. I want you all to listen to some of the descriptions of this goddess, and I want you to listen to some of the attributes that is associated with her personification, all right? Okay, it says, the ancient Egyptian goddess Segmet is known as the Eye of Ra. She is the power. If those of you who doesn't know, Ra is the noonday sun. The sun has three positions in the sky. First above the equator is Capri. Noonday sun is Ra. Setting sun is Atum. Okay, the ancient Egyptian goddess Segmet is known. Oh, and then once it goes under the equator where it's swallowed and rebirthed in the morning, when darkness began, that's a representation of the sun being swallowed by the sky mother of Ra, which is known as Noon. And then she rebirths him in the morning, swallows him with her mouth, and rebirths him in the morning through her uterus. It's the way the mythology goes. Okay? So let's go. Alright. The ancient Egyptian goddess Segmet is known as the Eye of Ra. She is the power that protects the... Excuse me, I just want to make sure everything's still good. Okay, yeah. She is the power that protects the good and annihilates the wicked. Segmet is the wrathful form of Hathor. Hathor is really, Heteru is really the ancient Kemetic name for Hathor. Hathor is the Greek name. The Kemetic name is Heteru, which is the goddess of joy, music, dance, and sexual love, pregnancy, and birth. Okay, so Segmet is also Heteru. Now it says, with the leonine head, female human body, and the strength of her father, she is the noontime sun, which is Ra, which is intense blinding heat. Okay, the picture that I took of the big orange ball of light that was next to the sun, actually that picture was taken about noontime, which is ironic as it might sound. Okay, in Tibet she is known as Sinj Dong Ma, lion-headed Dakini, guardian of the secret tantric teachings. She is called Simhavatra in India, where she also has a male reflection in the lion-headed incarnation of Vishnu, Narasimha, Pure Shakti. She is doubtless a close relative to lion-mounted Durga, keeper of the flame. Indeed, another Egyptian title for Segmet is Netsert, the flame. In ancient Near East, she was called Anet, Asturith, and Astarte. To the Old Kingdom, Egyptians knew was the divine father of the primordial waters, from whence Ra, the sun, came forth. Ra gave birth to Shu, god of the wind, and Tefnut, who was called the spitter because she sent the rain. Together Shu and Tefnut were the twins of our heavenly constellation. Tefnut and Segmet both have human female form with a head of the lion, and both are recorded as daughters of Ra by the Egyptians. Segmet is perhaps a later manifestation of Tefnut, but in any event, they are one and the same. Segmet goddess Hathor is the daughter he plucked from his head and sent out into the universe to avenge his anger. Nu spoke, let thine eye go forth against those who rebel in the kingdom. Then the gods spoke together, let thine eye go forth against these rebels. When it cometh down from heaven, no human eye can be raised against it. That means the sun. Segmet Hathor, in the form of a lioness, hurled herself upon the man who had rebelled against Ra. She attacked them with such fury that the sun god feared she might exterminate the entire human race and begged her to stop the carnage. She had no ears to hear it, so Ra spilled 7,000 jugs containing a magic potion composed of beer and pomegranate juice in her path. Segmet mistook the red liquid for human blood, lapped it up, and became too drunk to continue the slaughter. On the feast day of Hathor, Segmet, as many jugs of reddened beer were offered as there were priestesses of the sun. Now let me read that again. It says, on the feast day of Hathor, Segmet, as many jugs of, meaning Hathor is Segmet. On the feast day of Segmet, as many jugs of reddened beer were offered as there were priestesses of the sun. Okay. Mistress and lady of the tomb, gracious one, destroyer of rebellion, mighty one of enchantment, her body draped in red, Segmet faces west, her sister daughter basked in green, personification of the domestic cat, faces east. Segmet is the triad goddess of Memphis, with her husband Ptah god of arts and craft. Nefertum was their son and the third member of the triad. Ptah is the creative potter god who shaped the world and heavens, assisted by the 7 wise worker dwarfs of Khnemu. Khnemu. Okay. So now this is like a story, this ancient Kemet, about the people who rebelled against Ra. In the book that I read, their rebellion against Ra was actually designed as his children, being the rebellious offsprings of the sun, meaning the children of the earth. They had all decided that they wanted to worship other things other than the sun. What that means is they wanted materialism. Ra sent his daughter to deal with that. His daughter Segmet, the goddess of fire that I was just reading about to you guys. It said that she came to earth and started slaughtering people and enjoyed it so much that she couldn't stop. Now, what this is a description of an earthly fire that is going to be so big that the sun itself is going to have to cause a serious rain to put the fire out. Okay, let me read it to you again. It says, Segmet, at the form of a lioness, hurled herself upon the men who had rebelled against Ra. Now, a rebellion against Ra means a rebellion against the sun, because Ra is the sun. So if you rebel against the sun, that's the same as when the sun rises in the morning, you don't even recognize it as being the great life force bringer as it is. Along with that, you attack the children of the sun. You see, now when the sun makes people and put them on the earth and trees and everything else, and then you have a certain yourself. If you go out and start destroying all the things that the sun makes, then that makes you attack the sun. See, materialism that belongs to someone because they made it, like for instance, if I were to build me a barn, or better than that, if me and my wife, who were built by the sun, have a sexual relation with each other and we have a child, then me and her will be tools, if you will, of the sun that were used to make more materialism for the sun. That's what my child will be. And then if you have a corrupt system as to where you falsely accuse my son of a crime and arrest him or her and lock them in your prison and demand money from me that I don't have, and you make it a practice to do this over and over and over to the children of the sun, the melanated people, this might be a description of what you're doing. It says, she hurled herself upon the men who had rebelled against Ra. She attacked them with such fury that the sun god feared, now the sun god is Ra, she might exterminate the entire human race, and begged her to stop the carnage. She had no ears to hear it. So Ra spilled 7,000 jugs containing a magic potion composed of beer and pomegranate juice on her path. Segmet mistook the red liquid for human blood, lapped it up, and became too drunk to continue the slaughter. Now see, what it's saying is